When beginning your coil vessel, the first thing we're going to want to do is practice rolling coils. So you're going to take your clay and tear off a small chunk, maybe about this much, a little bit bigger than a golf ball size. Cover the rest of your clay, and then take this and tear it into 2 or 3 smaller chunks. So I'm going to tear mine in half. The process of rolling coils is something that you will want to practice before you commit to using the coils for building with. You want to make sure you have your workspace prepared. I'm working on a canvas board. You guys are going to be using your sheets of canvas, laying that out, and then make sure you're standing up when you're rolling coils. You cannot sit down. You definitely don't want to be laying down, leaning. You do need to be upright, and preferably have a table to roll on that hits you about hip width or maybe like belly button height. I'm going to take this clay and I'm going to start by just gently squeezing and stretching the clay out. It's going to be easier for you if you prepare it this way rather than taking a ball of clay and trying to roll. All right, so I've got the clay and I stretch that out a bit just by squeezing it, and then we're going to start to roll. So we'll start out by showing you what not to do. You do not want to roll your coils doing this. The issue with that is the clay is not making a full 360 revolutions. It's just like hitting half of the clay, not the whole way around. You also don't want to be leaning in and pressing really hard. The motion of getting this stretched out into a coil is part of it is you're applying pressure, but the other part is the movement rolling back and forth. All right, so now it's rotating maybe 3 or 4 times forward and backward. I am keeping my fingers spread apart, and the clay is going from fingertip to palm and base of palm. As you roll, you might not need to use both hands depending on how big of a coil you have, but you're going to start to focus on the thicker areas. So I'm feeling that's a little thicker here. I'm going to apply some more pressure there, and then just moving throughout. Again, this is a lot more of your sense of touch rather than sight. And there we go. This would be the ideal thickness for working with coil. You do not want your coil to be too skinny. All right, so like this one that I just rolled out is considerably thinner. A couple reasons: it becomes really brittle when the coils are thin, but also it's going to take you twice, if not 3 times as long to build with smaller coils. So think of like, I don't know, I mean, we all have different size hands, but maybe like index finger width or a little bit skinnier than that would be ideal. Take your clay, your other piece, and you're going to practice again. Now I'm going to try and intentionally do this the wrong way and show you how to fix your clay. All right, so I'm pressing too hard, and a couple things are happening. You can see it got thin here, and then you've got these folds that are occurring where the clay's like overlapping. If that happens, fold it in half. I'm gonna start again. Again, make sure you stretch this out, squeeze that out. If you get it to the point where what I call the flat tire, where it's flat on one side and then it's thinner on the other, and you'll actually hear a thumping, like what a flat tire sounds like when it happens in your car when you're driving. You'll sit that upright, so now the skinny side is up, and just gently tap, kind of squaring that off, and then continue to roll. You might have to do that a couple times to fix that issue. Now with what we're doing for our coil vessels, these coils are going to be exposed. We're not blending them in. So you're going to want them to be really well crafted. you're gonna want to avoid these areas where you've got folds happening. It's not gonna be a very pretty coil to use if you've got a lot of those areas. So try your best, get some practice done before you start. Now, these are gonna be practice for me. I am gonna put these back in the bag, but I know now that because it's been out working on this canvas, it's going to have dried out a bit. So before I return this back to my bag, because I don't wanna waste this, I wanna be able to use this, I'm gonna stick it in there, take my spray bottle, spray that down, and pack that back up. If you get into the habit of putting return clay into the same bag as your reserve clay, and you're noticing that this still isn't getting soft enough, then you might want to just grab another plastic bag and have that plastic bag, a separate plastic bag reserved for rehydrating clay. But I haven't used this that much. It hasn't been sitting out that long that, you know, I think I need to do that for this instance. So I would just pack that up like that. So that's your tutorial on how to roll your coils.